أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. In this video, inshallah, we will cover chapter 12 in book 3 of the Islamic Studies book. Chapter 12 focuses on the topic of Prophet Ismail alayhi salam, Sayyidina Ismail, who was the son of Prophet Ibrahim alayhi salam, who we looked at in the last chapter of the book. Prophet Ibrahim alayhi salam had two sons. Both of them became famous because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made them prophets. The first of them was Ismail alayhi salam, the sacrificed one. His mother's name was Hajar. Ismail alayhi salam was the firstborn son to Prophet Ibrahim alayhi salam. In answer to his prayers, Ibrahim alayhi salam prayed to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to give him a righteous child, and Allah gave him the good news of a forbearing boy. It was Ismail alayhi salam who Allah asked Ibrahim alayhi salam to sacrifice. Ibrahim and Ismail were both put to the test. This happened when Ismail alayhi salam was only 13 years old. It was also Ismail alayhi salam who went with his parents, Ibrahim and Hajar, while he was only an infant, to the valley known today as Mecca. Ibrahim alayhi salam left them there with only a small quantity of water and food. He put his trust in Allah to help and protect them. He left them under a tree at the place where Mecca stands today. Hajar sat in its shadow with the child on her lap. Around her there was nothing but sand and rocky slopes. How good the shade of the tree was. Okay, so as a test, he left them in the desert and in Allah's protection. There was a horrible silence all around, without any living thing. No birds, no animals. The night passed, and another day, and another night. When there was no more water left, the child began to cry. Hajar cried out to the Lord. Frightened by the suffering of her thirsty child, she ran to and fro through the valley, between the two hills of Safa and Marwa, to see if she could see anybody. While in this desperate situation, Angel Jibreel alayhi salam appeared and hit the earth with his heel. A stream of water gushed forth and began to flow over the sand. And this stream is now known as Zamzam. And that's why as we discussed the Hajj a few chapters ago, you do the sa'i between the Safa and the Marwa, just as Hajar did while she was looking for people and water in the desert. And then obviously the Zamzam is also found in Mecca. Hajar shouted with joy. She pressed the child's face into the cool water so that he might drink. She also drank with him. She heaped a little wall of sand around the spring. It became a well. This blessed well is known as the well of Zamzam and exists to this day. When Ibrahim alayhi salam returned to the valley after some time, he found Hajar and Ismail alive as Allah had promised him. Later, Prophet Ibrahim alayhi salam built the Kaaba with the help of Ismail. When Ismail grew up, Ibrahim alayhi salam and Ismail alayhi salam were both put to another test. When Ismail alayhi salam was old enough to work with him, Ibrahim alayhi salam said, "My son, I saw in a dream that I must sacrifice you. What do you think about this?" Ismail alayhi salam answered, "Do as you are ordered, father. Allah willing, you will find me firm." Then when they had both submitted and Ibrahim alayhi salam had laid Ismail alayhi salam face down on the ground, Allah called out to him, "Ibrahim, you have fulfilled the dream." Allah then commanded Ibrahim to sacrifice a ram in his place. We are very grateful to both Prophet Ibrahim alayhi salam and Ismail alayhi salam for their noble example. Muslims all over the world sacrifice animals on the day of Eid al-Adha in memory of Ibrahim's readiness to sacrifice Ismail to Allah on this day, and that will continue till the end of the world. Okay? So their steadfastness, their firm belief in Allah, they were willing to do whatever He asked and put their trust in Him. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, when they had shown this to him, He replaced Ismail with a lamb, and that is why at Eid we sacrifice lambs in honor of this faith that they showed, but also in honor of the mercy that Allah then showed. So we have learnt about Sayyidina Ismail today. There are now some exercises to complete on this topic, inshallah. Take your time, answer carefully, and then when you think you've finished answering, show your exercises to your parent, a teacher, or another adult so they can review your answers. And inshallah, if there's anything that you weren't quite sure about or didn't get quite right, they can inshallah guide and correct you. Next lesson, inshallah, we will look at chapter 13. Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.